What's going on, YouTube? Heylow here, bringing you an all-new Total Warhammer 2 matchup. So, today we're going to have a very interesting battle of Skaven versus Dark Elves. And this battle is sent in by a viewer on the channel, his name is Sean, and he wanted to show off a little tactic he tried of dividing and conquering. But not quite the usual strategy here. Normally the divided are conquered. And we're going to see if he's able to pull off a win here. But his one flank over here is going to be led by Claw, and he is going to have a couple units of Clan Rats, supported by a few Plague Monks in the back, and he is going to have Warlock Jezzails and a Rattling Gun team, as well as a Warp Lightning Cannon and Rat Ogre. His opposite flank out on the right hill is going to be a Warp Lightning Cannon and a Rattling Gun team as well, supported by 3 more Clan Rats, a Rat Ogre, and a unit of Plague Monks. So 2 separate bastions for defense here, and they are going to be besieged by the Dark Elves, who are going to be led by a Supreme Sorceress, Lore of Beasts, on a Cold One. He's going to be rocking Wasan's Wild Form, Doom Flock, looks like Spear, as well as Transformation. Oh, wow, they left all the spells on there. Okay, so the Beastcaster is going to have all of her spells available, so lots of diversity, if not a little bit of a gold sink. But frontline is going to be the Helleburnai Dread Spear, a Hargoneth Executioner, and Blackguard of Negaron. Backline is going to be Sisters of the Singing Doom and 2 more Witch Elves. Right flank is going to have a Cold One Dread Knight as left flank. And then all the way out in the back is going to be 2 units of Harpies, as well as 2 units of Vanguarded Dark Riders. Let's get this ball rolling and see how this one's going to play out. So it's interesting because the Dark Elves do have a very wide envelopment, but then the army itself is divided into 2 separate areas. So maybe if like the Harpies were on the same side as the Dark Riders, he could attempt to go for like an instant overload on one half. But because his force is also divided, he's got to figure out if he wants to commit to one or if he wants to do a split engagement. And right off the bat, it is looking like he's going to be pushing over to the right flank to go after Sean's main body force. And his Cold One Dread Knight's already taking an absolute beating from the Warp Lightning Cannon, and the Jezzails just getting shredded right now. Down to 19 models already, about to rout 1800 HP. Not a good time, losing such an expensive unit right off the bat. And it's tough. But meanwhile, the rest of the Dark Elf formation is going to be gradually moving up. The Harpies are going to be pushing in from the back to try and get in and shut down some of the skirmishing units. Meanwhile, this right bastion is being assaulted by 2 units of Dark Riders, as well as the Cold One Dread Knights. The Rat Ogres are going to do an excellent job of moving to intercept, but the Dread Knights are going to be pushing around for a nice little flank from the Clan Rats to get into this Warp Lightning Cannon. Fortunately, the Rattling Gun team is going to notice and turn about to start opening fire. Back here, the Harpies have been hit by Howling Warp Gale, and it is overcasted, so they're going to be stuck sitting here for a hot minute. And the Jezzails have turned about, as well as the Rattling Guns, to just absolutely shred these guys. The machine gun fire coming in on the Harpies is just brutal. So one unit is just instantly deleted. And I don't know. It's looking tough right now because a lot of the maneuvering forces for the Dark Elves have taken a ton of damage. A Dark Rider lost, a Cold One Dread Knight, and now a Harpy. But the frontline force is getting into the fight. We are going to have the Witch Elves, the Blackguard of Negaron are moving in on some Rat Ogres, and they will do some good work if they're able to catch them. Sorceress is coming in, and yeah, the forces here for the Dark Elves are most certainly going to overwhelm this position. He does need to be aware, though, that this other bastion over here, this opposite side, is pretty untouched. He was able to shut down the Warp Lightning Cannon, which is a great pickup for the Dark Elf player because that is going to keep his Cold One Dread Knights a little safer. There are still some Jezzails, but another Warp Lightning is shut down by the Manticore summon from the Sorceress. And meanwhile, the Warplock Jezzails over here are going to be trying to pop some shots and force off those Harpies. Rat Ogres in a little bit of a fight with the Blackguard of Negaron, which is not super ideal, but a lot of the units have been intercepted by Clan Rats, so the force is pretty divided. But in the back here, Dark Riders continuing to mop up this unit of Rattling Guns over here, which has been shut down. Claw is moving into the line, though, to go after the Sisters of the Singing Doom. Do have to be careful because they will cause Rampage if it's not aware. But yeah, it's looking tight so far. Skaven slightly pulling ahead, and this opposite flank is now moving up to support the main body engagement, which has very quickly been overwhelmed. This massive blob of Dark Elf forces over here is just absolutely obliterating these Plague Monks that are trying desperately to hold the line, and it is not going well. The poor Skaven forces being very quickly chased off, and the cavalry, the Argonath Executioners, the Witch Elves, the Sisters of the Singing Doom are all just swarming across the battlefield here. Hot and heavy, going after Ikit to try and pin him in place to see if they can get a pickup on this Skaven Lord here while he's out of position. But he is going to be freewheeling right up out of here. Unfortunately, the Cold One Dread Knight's just not getting a good enough surround there to stop his mass. And meanwhile, out on this far flank, the last of the Plague Monks is in a very brutal engagement with the Sisters of the Singing Doom, Blackguard, and the Supreme Sorceress. They are going to be getting mopped up pretty quickly here. They have Pharaoh Manticore coming in as well. But the Skaven forces have regrouped. Some of these forces falling back, Plague Monks returning to the battle, and we even have the artillery crew for the Warp Lightning here that is slowly skirting away unnoticed. And he's going to be pulling them back to most likely go after that unused Warp Lightning cannon over there. But all the way out on the flank here, the Warplock Jezzails have rallied, and they are just desperately trying to dump some shots into that Pharaoh Manticore and see what damage they can get off. But the cavalry over here, Dark Rider, is going to be pushing back around, probably looking to get a decent right side position. Maybe go for some side charges on some of these weaker units on the flanks. But yeah, unfortunately, these Jezzails are going to be getting taken care of pretty shortly here. No match for a Manticore, even though they do have decent armor stats, I believe. Yep, 70. But, those Clan Rats not going to be able to support in that kind of engagement. So the Dark Elves over here rallying what they have left of their troops. Their Cold One Dread Knights, still a very, very potent tool if used very, very safely. You don't want to throw them out there where the rattling guns are going to get at them, because they're going to get chewed up pretty fast, as well as slowed down by their speed debuff. But over here, we do have some Rally Plague Monks supporting the Jezzails as well. That Manticore getting tied up with some units. But this is the kind of time that the Skaven player needed. His artillery has been remanned now. The Warp Lightning cannons have made it back. We do have very solid health on these Rat Ogres with plenty of unit models, 9 and 12. So they are going to be sturdy in this upcoming fight and very useful against the Hargonath and the Blackguard, as well as trying to put some mass between this artillery and the cavalry forces. But Ikit is going to be moving over to the left flank to support, realizing that his left side is pretty exposed right now, and he really wants to keep this Warp Lightning cannon online. Plague Monks getting a nasty charge from these Cold One Dread Knights, just getting absolutely bowled over. Not much they can do, and you don't want to commit the Rat Ogres. They aren't going to win that fight. Well, then again, maybe they could. They probably could. But that is going to put them out of position, and he is going to want some support over here, and the Dark Rider threat is still very prevalent, so you don't want to overextend and hurt exposed. Meanwhile, Rattling Guns out on the flank here, getting a very nice close-up shot, and they are turning about to fire on these Witch Elves that are charging on, and they're just getting absolutely dumped on. Oh man, and the Jezzails coming from the rear. The Skaven reinforcements have arrived. The troops have rallied, the Plague Monks returning to the fight with the Clan Rats, Jezzails firing from over the hills, and yeah, Clan Rats running forward to meet the charge. And they're going to be engaging with the Sisters of the Singing Doom and rumpling their leadership very quickly. Meanwhile, over here on the left side and the core, the Skaven units have fallen apart fairly fast. Plague Monks, though, going to be tying up these Witch Elves to try and deal with them. But we do have the Rattling Guns just over here on the flank, putting some solid shots into the Hellebrai. And then we have a nice Warp Lightning coming in on the Witch Elves, and it is going to land, doing some very solid damage, definitely overcasted. And Plague Monks rampaging, so they are not going to be coming out of combat anytime soon. But the Warp Lightning Cannon is safe and online, and he is going to be taking some point-blank shots into the Blackguard of Negaron, as well as the Supreme Sorceress. But yeah, Ikit doing some solid work with the Rat Ogres forcing off this Blackguard. And with the Blackguard going and the Supreme Sorceress routing, that is going to be GG. So the two-pronged defense managing to pull out the win here. Very nice. Opponent definitely was not expecting that kind of tactic. You could tell that he was expecting a main body force, and his Harpies were on a flank, his Cav on a flank, and then he had divided his Cold One Dread Knights to try and protect his flanks and go for some side charges. But very, very nice play by Sean. And very interesting tactic as well. It was really cool to be able to see that come to fruition because it does not always work. Sometimes if your opponent went for like a heavy flank on one side, you can end up getting a little too overwhelmed too quickly, and with one flank crumpling so quickly, they can kind of just like sweep in. But that's how it works. Strategies, tactics, you're always rolling the dice. So excellent kills here on the Warp Lightning Cannons, taking out tons and tons of Gold One Dread Knights and cavalry. But yeah, used all of his tools very, very well. So that is going to be it for today, guys. I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you all next time.